February 7th, 2017. A worker at Oroville Dam looks into the spillway and something's off. The water running through the concrete chute has turned brown, muddy. They shut the gates to check, and what they find stops everyone cold. A crater, nearly 200 feet deep, ripped straight through solid concrete, like something took a bite out of the spillway floor. A second storm rolls in. The reservoir keeps climbing, and for the first time in 49 years, water pours over the emergency spillway, a backup nobody had ever actually tested. Underneath it, the hillside starts eating itself backward, erosion racing toward the concrete lip. If that lip goes, there's nothing left holding the lake back. Nearly 200,000 people get an evacuation order. The whole country watches live. And yet the dam itself never failed. Not once. So how does a wall holding back 3.5 million acre-feet of water, enough to bury an entire city, come this close to disaster without the dam ever giving out? To answer that, forget the spillway for a second. Ask what water is actually doing to a dam, physically. Most people picture one steady push, like leaning on a door. That's not how it works. Pressure builds with depth. Barely anything near the surface, brutal near the bottom. At the base of Hoover Dam, water pressure works out to about 22 tons on every square foot of concrete, a load the dam has to eat every second for decades. Engineers solve this two ways. The first is mass. Build the base wide and the top narrow, so the dam's own weight pins it to the ground. Oroville's embankment is over 3,500 feet thick at the base. Less a wall, more a man-made mountain. The second way is smarter. An arch dam curves upstream, and that curve turns the water's sideways push into compression, squeezing the concrete against the canyon walls instead of fighting the load head-on. Think of an eggshell. Press the flat side and it cracks instantly. Squeeze it evenly from the curved sides and it's shockingly hard to break. The force gets spread and channeled instead of concentrated on one weak point. Same trick. Oroville skips the curve entirely. It's an earth-fill embankment, over 80 million cubic yards of compacted soil and rock, holding on through raw weight alone. But weight alone was never going to be enough, because water doesn't just push, it finds the gaps. No dam on Earth is built to hold back every drop of water it could ever face. And that's not a weakness, that's the design. Build walls tall enough for a once-in-a-thousand-year flood, and every dam would need to be twice its size for a scenario that might never come. So instead, engineers build an escape route, a spillway, an engineered release valve that dumps excess water downstream before it threatens the structure. Oroville runs two of them. The main spillway is a concrete chute with steel gates, built to handle routine flooding. The emergency spillway is simpler, just a concrete weir with no gates at all, one that only sees water when the lake rises high enough on its own. The main spillway is supposed to do the heavy lifting. The emergency spillway is the backup nobody expects to use. Except in February 2017, the main spillway is exactly what tore itself apart, which meant the untested backup became the only option left. This is where the real lesson sits. No single failure is supposed to bring the whole system down, because there's never just one layer between the lake and disaster. There are several, stacked on top of each other. The crumbling spillway never actually put the dam at risk because it sits on the abutment, the rock beside the dam, not on the embankment itself. A crater tearing open in that chute is damage to a separate structure entirely. The lake was never resting on that concrete. Then comes the real save. Operators watch the emergency spillway erode backward toward the concrete weir, hour by hour, and make a brutal call. Reopen the damaged main spillway anyway, pushing flow to 100,000 cubic feet per second, nearly double what tore open the original crater. That decision drains the reservoir below the emergency spillway's crest in hours, not days. The erosion stops just short of the weir. The backup buys exactly enough time. Trace the chain. The emergency spillway backs up the main spillway. The damaged main spillway backs up the emergency spillway, and underneath both, the embankment itself never moves an inch, the layer that was never actually in danger. None of it works without a fourth piece, though. Modern dams run sensor networks tracking seepage, concrete movement, and erosion continuously, not once a year on some checklist. A redundant system only saves you if someone catches the crack before it becomes a crater. So what changed after 2017? The physical fix came first. Engineers drew the reservoir down 50 feet for a safety buffer, then rebuilt the spillway with steel anchors drilled straight into bedrock, a repair that ran past $1 billion and took nearly a year. But the bigger change isn't concrete, it's watching. Dams now run continuous monitoring instead of annual checkups, sensors tracking seepage, movement, and erosion around the clock, so a small problem gets caught long before it turns into a 200-foot hole. The mass of that embankment hasn't changed since 1968, neither has the shape. What changed is that something is always watching for the first sign of trouble. Spillways are built to fail, so the dam doesn't have to. That's not a flaw. That's the design doing exactly what it was built to do. And that's the real difference between a structure that holds water and one that holds up.